A little bit of a show update, real quick, or channel update. I've been speaking of the schedule for quite some time. The schedule is we're day by day. Me and the AKAPAD Army, we're day by day in launching the schedule. The schedule is going to be the podcast, articles on the website, creative content like drawing content, hype videos, 2 videos a day, 2 podcasts a day, 3 to 4 articles a week, and a lot of live streaming. We haven't yet rolled it out. Last week was a test on setting the premieres. The premieres in the morning, number wise, so and so. So we're still debating and just trying to see what the structure of some of these releases are. But you guys have been showing up. The channel is spiking again. We're getting more and more views, more and more subscribers. It's a slow crawl, but that's what I expect with this type of content. We do very niche 90s comic book content. And today, even for Wildstorm Wednesday is very niche. And what we're doing with this today, well, I'm doing the same thing I did years ago when I first launched Wildstorm Wednesday. Wildstorm Wednesday at one time was my approach into the Wildstorm universe as comic books, characters, toys, action figures, trading cards, and Mr. Jim Lee himself, growing up with that, but not being well versed in it. I felt like I had to put myself on a little bit of a pilgrimage to learn as much as possible about the Wildstorm universe and company. At the time, it was a simple platitude. They sold out to DC Comics. They were part of the Image founding. And at the time, Jim Lee was very distant from the Image founders as he is today. Well, this 25th anniversary, aka Padders, it's highly affordable. Go to eBay, go to Amazon, go to AB Books, whatever the heck, go at the thrift store, bookstore, go everywhere. You can pick this up relatively inexpensive. I implore you to do it. I want to showcase this yet again because a couple years have gone by, and I myself, I've garnered a hell of a lot of Wildstorm knowledge. This is a little bit of a thought exercise even for myself. I want to see what I say about this now and compare it to what I said about it later. We can all do that exercise ourselves by, the Wildstorm Wednesday AKAPAD playlist available very here. It's available here on this YouTube channel. Guys, let's hit the drawing table and have yet another look at the Wildstorm Productions 25th anniversary hardcover. And there is some gems in here. So, let's go. AKAPADers, before we get into this incredible book, please send love to the Philadelphia Phils. Send them your mojo because they need a miracle tonight just to continue this series. And they also need a dominant performance. They got to get their confidence back. They don't know how to hit the ball anymore. This happens every all. Well, okay, with all that, guys, cheers. Welcome to, hey, we're being very basic here. This is a pumpkin spice iced coffee. So cheers to all of you. I already had to upgrade my coffee since that intro in here. What do we have? Well, we have Pike and Crypt, our 2 mascots of this very table, and our spiritual advisor, Stephen Hughes, R.I.P. My buddy Mark, who I speak about often on this channel, he has the All Straw Comics podcast. Please go check that out. He's the one that brought this to my attention. He picked me up one day. He would message me at like 11 o'clock at night asking if he can come pick me up at 7 o'clock in the morning for a 2-hour drive for a comic book show. Okay, and you always say yes in that scenario. But yeah, we were at a convention and he brought this to me. He goes, "Hey, this guy over here has it for like $5." I'm like, "Oh, I'll take it." So I gave him $5 so he can go buy it for me. Here, Arthur Adams. So this is from the Wildstorm source book. There's we profiled the source books already on this channel. There's a couple deviations of the source book, and there's a Wetworks one. If you get them all together, you get a good scope of the I would say like the first like 3 years of the Wildstorm universe. But yeah, guys, it's good old Arthur Adams, maybe drawing one of the best grunges ever. That's him drawing our boy Pike. That's his Cybernary, like looking right. No, that's not Cybernary. This is the Scott Clark character. Oh, I forget this character's name. But see, this is what I mean. This is why we spend years with some of this material. And on the insert title page here, we have Wildstorm celebrating, like the eye of the storm. But this is from Frank Quietly's The Authority issue that it didn't make it through the censors. It had to get butchered before it got released, and it somewhat became legendary. The uncut version of that issue, as intended, is in this volume. Highly significant when it comes to Wildstorm history. And you see how much they love Frank Quietly. So this, again, Frank, you talk about Frank Quietly. He's an incredible guy. But here's the thing. This is where we build like the credibility of how much of an effort Wildstorm was at one time. Where we get this Jim Lee cover, not Jim Lee's best, but it's still Jim Lee drawing the range of the Wildstorm characters, like the updated Spartan, updated Fairchild. We have Ladytron here, old school Wetworks, and Gen 13 or what's it? This is Mother One, and this is Fireboy. I forget his name. What the brain fart there? But yeah, and then Midnighter in the direct sense. It's like we open with Jim Lee, Arthur Adams, like Frank Quietly, right? And then here we go. So I talk about the different ways to obtain Jim Lee's Wildcats #1 black and white. This is the cheapest and best of them all. We're in semi-gloss paper, but the reproduction and the line work is like second to none. The line work here is so freaking clean, you kind of like you don't trust it. But AKAPADers, let this be said, this is one of the best ways to get anything black and white by Jim Lee from this era. I implore you to do it. Now we have the Wildstorm Archives Volume 1, which was there was only one volume of that. That has black and whites of all the Wildstorm #1s or the Wildstorm universe at the time. That has a reproduction of this. There's the Ashcan, which is smaller. Also, it's a reproduction of the black and white artwork, but nothing as clean and bright as this. And this is how you can tell. Like, see here, you see all the little like speckles with Grifter blasting this Coda biatch who's trying to kidnap our girl. Voodoo, don't do that. But very impressive. So I kind of forgot that this was even in this. So, like, keep in mind, AKAPADers, I spoke about this right at the heel at the beginning of Wildstorm Wednesday. And I put the book to the side and kind of forgot about it. But here, too, like, you see like, the strains of hair. Zalot's hair. Like, really just, like, top-notch handling of the materials. Again, there's the illustration side where you have to draw things well and accurate, right? That's the illustration side. But then the other side is the craftsmanship. Like, how well do you handle your tools? The craftsmanship side, I think, is something that has gone by the wayside. But here, guys, we have Aaron Weisenfeld, legendary at this point. So since even the publication of this, the legend of Aaron Weisenfeld has grown. So, but again, like the timing of it is pretty much there, and we're leaning into something because there is like an editorial direction. We see like Deathblow early days with Team 7. Here's the Tim Sale Deathblow, AKAPADers, and again, as profiled on this channel, the Tim Sale Deathblow really is the story arc of that entire run. I know it opens with Jim Lee imitating Frank Miller, but we're about to get into that because here, and again, too, Jim Lee imitating Frank Miller. Frankie didn't like this back in the day, but looking back, kind of cool. We have the continuation and the final like arc of the original death blow from Image, was a Darker Image, which is right here. So there is, in my view, because we profiled it, in my view, there is a transition between Darker Image 1, Death Blow, right here. He sent on the mission. It's a assassin mission, but it's also a mission of mercy because he's got to kill someone who's a POW, captured, but they know stuff, so he's got to be taken out, right? And we have this to be continued, and this flows into like Death Blow number 1, but there's a little bit of a gap because in Death Blow number 1, he's remorseful over this mission, so we never quite got to see the mission, but because we have a mind, we can follow it. Well, here's that mission, and we see him. He calls in the drone strike, which technically, if it takes place in this time, which 1993, there's no drones in 93. Come on, what are we doing here? But anyway, he calls in the drone strike, and he does this awesome thing. See, with one of his bullets, he clips the guy in front of the guy that's captured that he needs to kill, and the guy who's captured is conveniently in a cage sitting in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, and here we go, the end. So they wrap this up. Okay, it's wrapped up. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Not exactly on point because Death Blow should be bigger. Like, you even see here, like, see how big Jim Lee drew Death Blow back in the day? Here, he needs to be bigger. He draws him like normal. They kind of like toned him down, but at the same time, you get this. Now, here's the travesty. And this, I had a lot of, like, I went back and forth about representing this over this story alone. This is J. Scott Campbell. Look, Stop the War on Women. J. Scott Campbell, who made a career on overly sexualizing the female for the male gaze. But he has this like apology tour. He bends at the knee, call it being weak. But he kind of has this whole like apology story about the effects of Gen 13 on the modern world, and we don't need to see it. And this is probably the last time we'll ever see J. Scott Campbell draw Gen 13 sequentials, and it's him literally not owning up to it. Who cares? I would give him credit if this was like a poolside issue. Everyone's in their bikinis and the guys are like doing what like right, like it's just not quite there. Also, the latter days Adam Hughes. I'm not crazy. Earlier Adam Hughes, yes, but we even get this like Ladytron here, like ripping off her dress, but she's got robot boobies. I don't know what we're trying to say here with this, but this also seems to complement this. Like, we're not into the male gaze anymore. So, but then we get, so there was one time, and look, guys, Ryan Benjamin killing it on Wildcats, but Cybernary. So when we first did this, it was just Cybernary. But we've done such a longer study now of this character. Cybernary was Jim Lee's, like, he did art prints. And this is while he was still at Marvel. But they wanted to make a little bit of extra money during some of these appearances. So they created prints with their own characters. And Cybernary was the first one of that. She looked a lot different and didn't have the horns, didn't have the chainmail. But in my view, Cybernary is like the 0.0, like the origin character of Wildstorm Productions, not Wildcats. People will attribute it to Wildcats, but those of us who know the history will argue that it's Cybernary. This is also drawn by Pop Mont. This is the best new thing in this entire book, which is Brett Booth is back on Backlash, and he continues a little bit of what we know from the series. Now, we haven't detailed the guts of the Backlash series much, but there is a Brett Booth Backlash commentary video coming. So be on the lookout for that. I want to detail what's in these pages, but first we have to get through some of Backlash. One of Wildstorm's best publishing efforts ever. Homage Comics, Astro City, Kurt Busiek. The very best in superhero deconstruction, period. This world, this universe should be either animated, should be a series, should be a film series. This is one of the most significant books that you can read, especially a book of this time where you're told that the writing was garbage and everything was based on artwork. Not really. Everything pivoted back to the writers relatively quickly within the 90s. We have Will Spartacio and Wetworks. Okay, this is really their only representation in here, but we have the Change or Die Stormwatch, as we like to call this. This is the version of Stormwatch that later gets killed by the aliens. Right. Stormwatch's last mission is off-page. Aliens, Wildcats crossover. All these people die off-screen. I think Winter's one of the last ones living. He drives Stormwatch 1 into the sun to kill the alien xenomorph infestation. But this leads to Authority. Huh? Speaking of the Authority, someone must have turned this in late. And we know Brian Hitch and deadlines. But yeah, this is the version of the Authority that matters. The engineer without the kid. Take out the kid. This is the version of the Authority that shook the comic book world to its core. But then we get a little bit of a story that feels like it belongs within the Authority. They haven't done this since the initial run of the Authority. It's when the initial run of the Authority fizzles out, it becomes like this desperate reboot machine, and it kind of ends in a 4-issue crossover called Coup d'etat. Jim Lee drew the first issue of that. I'm pretty sure he drew it with freaking Sharpies. There's a video on that coming soon. But they never really went back to the feeling and like the big ideas of what the Authority was. I viewed the last time we got the Authority was the Ultimates Volume 1 and Volume 2. But this is a good read. I want to detail this to you guys because this does connect to later. But then we get, here we go, John Cassidy with Planetary. So at one time, Wildstorm really was the Authority. It was Planetary. And they tried it again with a book called The Monarchy. Didn't quite land. This was Wildstorm Productions at one time, though. Okay? And you can argue about how much of it like weaves within the Wildstorm universe and doesn't. Planetary flirts with all of it because they're interdimensional. The Authority eventually become interdimensional, right? And here we go. Gary Frank, who, in my view, was one of the worst calls to replace J. Scott Campbell when it comes to Gen 13, gives us a Gen 13 more in tone to one of the co-creators of Gen 13. Apology here, right? Apology. But he's giving us the beach bikini scene. This is a weird world. Burnout, that's the guy's name. But look, guys, we get Brass, one of the better things that Wildstorm published. But look at this art by Carlos Adonde. DB8, one of the best regular reads at the time. I'm talking in all of superhero comics. Deviants, solid stuff. Mr. Majestic, you guys know how I feel about Mr. Majestic. This is what I love. Look, we have Ed McGuinness with the Mr. Majestic statue that was never produced. And this is where it gets too cute sometimes. You're literally going to make the Mr. Majestic statue in the style of Ed McGuinness, and he's walking. Kill me now, Eric Conte. So we have Eric Conte is the one who did Cybernary 2.0. Okay, let's get back to Cybernary real quick. Cybernary 2.0. Right here. So Cybernary is a backup story in Deathblow, drawn by Nick Manabat, R.I.P. Years later, she gets a 2.0 upgrade. Like, it's literally an upgrade on every account, and Eric Conte here is the artist for that. That's an upcoming video because that is a work of art. We get Adam Warren. The very last time Gen 13 felt like Gen 13 on the printed page. The Adam Warren work on Gen 13 is one of the best in-series reboots we have of its entire day. We have Dustin Nugent and Jet. Not familiar with Jet. Not familiar with the character. We all know ABC Comics. Tom Strong, Chris Bruce, who also doubled as a Rob Liefeld guy, but he was more of an Alan Moore guy. He, in my view, he came to prominence drawing the New Men, New Adventures, Rob Liefeld for Maximum Press. But his work here is stellar. But ABC Comics or AB Comics, crazy stuff, top 10, crazy good. We're years away from touching any of this too, just so you guys know, AKAPADers. We have the Gen 13 Batman crossover that I believe was a Wizard magazine proposal, but maybe became a real proposal. Never happened. But again, too, early J. Scott Campbell putting the boobies in full view. See, we want everyone's looking at Batman, but then he's aligned with the boobalas. Okay, that's how we sell comics. We have Travis Charest on Wildcats here, the inheritor of the throne that couldn't keep a deadline. Just seeing this gets you excited to read the book because, like, again, his deviation on the characters. We have Mull here in his human form with all this weird techno stuff, like these corded cables coming out of his head. He gives a weird headgear thing to Grifter. Like, what are we doing here? We just want to read it, but it's a big difference from these guys. It's a big, right? So, like, the title, Wildcats, starts here, goes here, and this now becomes, like, the new standard. And Jim Lee tried to bring it back to here, and that didn't work out. You have to wait till the end of the book for that. So, here's that Authority book I was telling you guys about. This, people did not like some of the guts of this book. They didn't like what people were saying. They didn't like some of the imagery. They didn't like some of the implications. It came out, it was edited, panels, pages were altered, but we have all 4 issues here as it was intended, drawn by Frank Quietly. And it's black and white, the way it should be, right? Actually, we have issues 1 and 2. Issues 1 and 2 is what they altered. Awesome stuff. We have, Wildcats version 3.0. See, this, again, you're messing with, like, look at the transition. We did a video on this. We did a video on all the Wildcat number 1s. We start here. This is the middle. This is where we are. Do not tell me publishers and editors in chiefs don't have a responsibility to stick to, if you have a property that's known for superhero bright colors, it doesn't mean you can't get deeper. Doesn't mean you can't get more significant with it or more experimentation. But at the same time, this is too far away from the appeal. You have to remember, too, Wildcats at this time, failed TV series, Saturday Morning, failed toy line, Playmates, everywhere in KB Toys, discounted figures for years. People remembered Wildcats, and I just want to say, if you remembered Wildcats and you walked into a comic shop and you saw this, you would not want to buy the book. There's something to hitting the lexicon and hitting the culture that you have to maintain, because when we know about the history of Superman, Shazam, even Zorro, even Doc Savage, they bob and weave. They go in and out of the culture. Some of them disappear forever, some of them don't. But they don't change from the core. And that's the thing, because you can bring Zorro back today and you have to hit a few beats. And as long as you hit those beats, people want to read Zorro or like Lee Falk's The Phantom. With that, we have Christos Gage, who we can say is the 3rd or 4th of the best Wildcat writers. He gets it. He got a good mix of the old and the new. Again, like old, new. Look, superheroes, we don't know what this is. But he gives us a pretty good story here. I think this was a plot thread where everyone's stranded, right? They're back on the homeworld with this. We have Redbird here, Black Ops by Phil Noto. Black Ops is, I recently got the miniseries. We'll be doing that. Razor's Edge here, Ex Machina. Maybe arguably the second best thing that Jim Lee ever published next to Astro City. Let's remind ourselves, Astro City. Where is Astro City? It's almost like you need markers to flip back and forth, but then you don't, because there would be markers on every single page. And if I don't find, there you go, Astro City, Ex Machina. These are the two for you to read, not Wildstorm universe related. The Red, arguably their greatest success, right? 2 movies, Bruce Willis, all-star cast. We also have Cully Hamner, who is, at one time, Jim Lee leaned heavily on him for costume designs. We'll see some of that later. And then we have, I think these are just unused pages, right? Because Midnight here kicks out a dude's brain and decapitates a few people. We have some of, look at Cully's costume designs. This dude is rock and rolling. And then we have this story here with Jason Pearson and Jeff Johns. Jason Pearson, right? I believe R.I.P. We were just discussing this. I fully forgot. Jason Pearson, though, always good with drawing the babes. Really nice stuff here. We have Sleeper, Sean Phillips. I cannot speak on this. I apologize. My buddy Mark would effing kill me. Look at this. Who's it? Neil George. This is the later years of Wild. So Wildstorm going into DC, they had like a couple like Armageddon-ish crossovers. 2, in fact. One of them was like 25 weeks long. A little bit down the road, I do have some of that to show off to you guys. So that might be coming. But really, like, nice looking stuff here. And then this is more of like the modern Wildstorm universe. And then here we go. So Jim Lee, right? Who's it? Warren Ellis. Jim Lee and Warren Ellis were going to do Grant Morrison. They were going to bring the cats back. And this is the only thing that this is a planned regular series. And we see there's just incorporation of the old and the new. Like, we'll call it the DC Wildstorm. The Authority era. The original era. The new weird stuff, which is like the Intimates, also an upcoming video. And then we get the simile metaphor here of Cole Cash, right? Waking up, which connects to Wildcats #1. See? We have Lord Empire waking up from a drunken stupor, and we have Cole Cash here waking up from a drunken stupor. This is a nice setup, aka Powders. Lord Despot is back. We have the Caribbeans on homeworlds fighting. The war is out spreading across the cosmos. And then we have this like Majestic, Mr. Majestic. This might be the only way I favor them using Mr. Majestic in this universe. It's such a cool way that he's introduced, and what he is. He feels like a non-stop war general. This is a guy you don't mess around with. Really good stuff. You want to see more, you want to read more. We don't get more, and then that's it. And this is like one, I believe this might have been printed. So this shipped. I don't know how Diamond ships this with only 1 issue complete. Or maybe they had more complete and they canned it. I don't know. But then we get the full script here. And we get, there's some notes on what he would like from the rest of the series. Really nice stuff, guys. Very depressing. But you want to say this was the last effort to bring back the original Wildstorm universe. Another original story. This is a Mr. Majestic one that's kind of connected to a book we just recently reviewed on this channel. I believe Superman 208. Fantastic issue. And again, more amazing Cully Humner costume designs. He's one of the best. But guys, I mean, look at it. We get some Jim Lee pencils here. Some nice, more process here, process junkies. And then here's the big thing. In memoriam, Scott Clark, Nick Manabate, Al Rio. We speak about these guys on the channel. Al Rio became later days Gen 13, drawing in a J. Scott Campbell style. Still, again, the book was kind of like held down by censorship. Nick Manabate, we know him from Cybernary. Scott Clark, in my view, founding member of the whole effort with his amazing work on Stormwatch. I'm not familiar, so please forgive me on Johnny Wrench and Oliver Gnome. I'll maybe do my best. Maybe we'll do something on those. And then we have the legend here of the two covers of everyone. Let's see if we can find 29. We need this girl, 29. Algira. And this was like, I think, a 6-issue miniseries drawn by Scott Clark. Really nice stuff. Great retrospective. And here's one thing, if you guys really want to see. So this is Travis Charest here. You know, like how people always make a comment on the Jack Kirby squiggle, how he does these like squiggles. If you look at here, what Travis, right? He's doing, you know, like an ink wash. Look at the squiggle from the shoulder, the bicep, but then the tricep, and it becomes a squiggle going into the forearm, like maybe the elbows here. But to me, this is very much of a Jack Kirby squiggle. So again, the King's techniques all over the place. Guys, it's Wildstorm Wednesday. Let's go.